If my audio sounds weird, it's because I just moved and I'm still trying to figure out a proper setup in my new space. Also, I am not going to be including any drawing behind this. I'm just going to have the thumbnail up because I feel that would be very disrespectful in regards to the topic at hand. So without that, I'm just going to get into it. Hello guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome back to my channel. Now, this video may or may not fit under the scope of my channel, but I don't care. It needs to be talked about. I am enraged. So, I come from a place of privilege. As a white woman in America, I understand that I have privileges that other American citizens or, people here in America that they don't, which is sickening, and I want to dismantle that system piece by piece, but I am all over the place. I'm sorry. I'm just so mad. But because I come from this place of privilege, I only just watched the video of Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd. And I don't know how to fully describe just how absolutely sickened I felt the entire time watching it, but I did want to point out some other things that I noticed that when reading articles I didn't even know existed or were components in this, and I just want to talk about the rioting in Minneapolis and privilege and how systematic this all is. And again, because I come from a place of privilege, maybe it's not my place to speak out on this, but also considering how we don't want to listen to our the black men and women in this country and hear them talk about how they're being mistreated and systematically brutalized and murdered at the hands of those who are sworn to protect and serve, then because of my privilege, I'm going to speak out, because maybe you'll listen to me just because I'm white. So, in this video, if you haven't seen it, I know it's hard to watch, but I believe that everyone should, because we can't keep turning a blind eye to this. In that video, it is 9 minutes. 9 minutes of a police officer kneeling on a man's neck. If you see the video that leads up to that point where some people on the street started filming, George Floyd was not resisting arrest as far as we could see from what is available to the public. There's no audio, so you can't hear if there's any words being exchanged, but the police officers managed to get him out of the car, they got him onto the sidewalk, they got him sitting. We don't see the point from where he's sitting on the sidewalk in handcuffs to the point where he is under he's not an officer anymore, he's been fired, Derek Chauvin's knees for 9 minutes. There's never a reason for that. Never. There's no excuse. I know they were saying he was resisting arrest, but even so, he was already on the ground. There's no fucking need for someone to kneel on someone's neck for 9 minutes. Just imagine that for a second. Just put a hand around your neck for 9 minutes. Even without any pressure being applied, that's pretty uncomfortable. Now imagine you are on the ground and I can't talk, I'm so mad. There are knees on your neck, your throat, and you are being pressed into the concrete. That is what this man suffered through for 9 minutes. He fell unconscious and the officer did not let up. In fact, if you watch this video, you can see him moving just so slightly, just to apply more pressure, almost as if he's trying to shut him up, because before George Floyd fell unconscious, he was saying, "I can't breathe, help. He cried out for his mom. He made sounds of distress, all while the other officer on the scene said, oh, he's fine. He can talk so he can still breathe, which is fucking bullshit. You have this grown man calling out for his mother, saying that he's going to die, and he did. Sorry for the awkward silence. I'm trying to compose myself from either screaming or crying because this is so messed up. But on top of this, shortly after George Floyd loses consciousness, and the onlookers, who the entire time they've been filming, by the way, have been saying, hey, get off of him, he can't breathe. He pulls out seemingly what appears to be a can of mace to get them to stop him, as if he's enjoying this and he doesn't want to stop. He knows what he's doing. He knew that George Floyd couldn't breathe. He's losing consciousness. Also, in the video, one of the onlookers who's filming says that his nose is bleeding, and it's kind of hard to tell and see if that's for sure, but even still, they should have checked. They should have checked for a pulse, especially when there was I believe, a firefighter, a paramedic, someone on site who said to check his pulse, and they didn't. Only when the ambulance arrived did Derek Chauvin get his knees off of this poor man's neck. There's no excuse. I don't know how many times I have to say that, but there's no excuse, and we should all know that. But, I think it's very distasteful for some of the people I've been seeing on Twitter or on my Facebook, that these are all white people, by the way, saying that, oh, I understand you want to protest, but looting and rioting isn't the answer. One of them mentioned that MLK would not be proud. But I would like to read you this Martin Luther King Jr. quote that I think fits this pretty well. And it's fit a lot of these very well, because this isn't the first time that we're seeing this, which is extremely disheartening, because just like with mass shootings in America, we are becoming more and more used to this. Like, this is just run-of-the-mill America. And I don't want this to be our country. Our country is a complete shit show who can't take care of their own citizens, even during a global pandemic. We can't take care of our black friends, family, neighbors. We are enshrined, I can't talk, in systematic racism that was built at the inception of our country, because our country was built on the backs of slaves. And I think it's time that we completely dismantle our current racist systems and start the fuck over. We live in a country that is dripping and running on sexism, misogyny, racism. Like, the patriarchy is what our country is built on, and I think it's time we dismantle it piece by piece and start the fuck over. And if that means we have to riot in the streets, then god damn it, I will drive my ass to Minneapolis right now and riot in the goddamn streets. Anyway, this quote, I didn't write notes for this, I just saw the video, I'm enraged, and I wanted to film. Anywho, my personal life doesn't matter right now. So, this quote is, I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. And what is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. It has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity. And so in a real sense, our nation's summers of riots are caused by our nation's winters of delay. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention. Martin Luther King Jr. So, no, I don't think MLK would be upset by people rioting. I saw in a video that I shared on Twitter. If you are interested, I don't really shout at my Twitter much, but it's at Satanic Panic, S, the number 8, ANIC, PANIC. I'll put it in the description because I've been sharing a lot about Black Lives Matter on there. But there was a man at the protests yesterday saying that the reason people riot in the streets is because the people sworn to protect and serve them don't. Who are they supposed to call when they need help when they're likely to be killed? Hell, recently a black woman was killed in her home because the police went to the wrong house and didn't announce themselves. And so her boyfriend shot at police, and this led her to being shot and murdered at the hands of police because they failed to do their job. The person they were looking for was already in custody. They should have known. They have police radios. They hear this stuff over them. Like, it's not just incompetence, it's systematic racism. That, and then her boyfriend was charged, which, yes, I saw the charges were dropped, thank God, because there's no reason he should have been charged with anything when police entered their home unannounced in the middle of the night. Which, again, we'll say her name too, because names matter. These are people we're talking about, and if we don't say their names, then they fall into obscurity with the countless others. Like, so that was Breonna Taylor, who died at the hands of police wrongfully. And this is a list that goes on and on. I have a list written down here of just the ones I can remember recently, but there are so many more that either we don't hear about or we do hear about, but they fall into obscurity because we stop talking about them. Because this is just run-of-the-mill America. And I know a lot of people will be saying that it's not just Black lives that matter, it's all lives. But we are not being systematically killed by those sworn to protect and serve us. And yes, these officers were fired, but that is not enough. If you, just watching this video, you can see this wasn't negligent homicide. This was not an accident. This was cold-blooded, first-degree murder. At the very least, second-degree murder. But if you're doing this for 9 minutes, and you know that kneeling on someone's neck on the concrete for 9 minutes is harmful, especially when they're saying, "I can't breathe, help me," and onlookers nearby, including a paramedic, say to get off. He's already on the ground. Or, get off. He's unconscious. How is he going to fight you and resist arrest if he's passed the fuck out on the concrete? I'm floored. Yes, all lives matter, but Black lives matter more right now. I don't care. I don't have to fear for my life when I'm pulled over by police. I've been pulled over by police a few times, and yeah, I'm upset because I know that I'm getting a ticket, but I'm not afraid that I'm going to die in that interaction because I am a white woman. Hell, there are times I've sped past police officers where I probably should have been pulled over, but probably wasn't because I am a white woman. Fuck, Our systems need to be torn down and redone, and I believe that an example should be set of these officers because there's no excuse. If more officers get off the hook for this blatant, cold-blooded murder, then fuck it, throw the whole country away. I can't. I'm done. At this point, I'm just blubbering on about the same things. I think I've made my point. Just know, if any of my black friends are listening, that I'm with you, I hear you, and I will fight for you, no matter the cost. Because fuck it, this is bullshit, and you deserve the same rights, freedoms, and safety that I'm guaranteed as a white person. Like, I'm fucking tired of this. I'm tired of being outraged. I'm tired of feeling like nothing's ever changing because nothing ever is. Like, this is George Floyd. We talked about Breonna Taylor. There's Philando Castile. There's Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy. Sandra Bland, who we still don't know what the fuck happened. Eric Garner, Alton Sterling. The list goes on and on. There are so many more that I'm forgetting because this happens so fucking often. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna cool off. And just do what I can. If you go to my Twitter, I've also been sharing different resources and different things that you can do to help, whether you are black, white, whatever. So please go check out those resources. Yeah. This isn't the first video that I wanted to put out since moving, but it needed to be done because I don't know. I shouldn't have to tell you that you should care about other people. And I guarantee it's not even my audience, that's the problem. But either way, thank you for listening to this anger-induced rant, I guess. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.